this positive energy tangerine. I need that. Let me put that, okay, in here. Okay. Let me put another one for strength. All right. Okay. Okay. So then I can walk on across. I don't want to go behind it. Okay. So I can do this here. Give me one of these. So am I doing what I'm doing and I'm sitting now? He just getting this footage.
Oh. You could just continue flowing because I got both cameras rolling.
Okay.
So we are hot.
Okay, so we're here. We here. We here.
All right, so Dr. D, talk to me. Give me one thing a 25-year-old would be shocked that they know that you do right now.
I think one of them would be comfortable that I really find myself. I'm really sociable. I'm really sociable. I'm like a social butterfly. I love being around people. I love to entertain. I love to conversate, but also what I love to do is being in silence and being in my singularity and kind of like being with me. And I think for most people, a 25-year-old, that would shock them because you know, you see me on YouTube or you see me on my IG page and I'm talking and then I'm out with my baby daddy and so I'm doing car chronicles and whatnot. But in actuality, I love being in peace and I'm comfortable with being with me and not necessarily a whole lot of people. So actually, I guess I'm an extrovert, but a introvert. And it works really well now. It took me years to understand that because sometimes you need to just come out and do a woosah and just recalibrate. And that's when I get into my realignment. And that's when great ideas come to me, or I'm just sitting listening to music, I'm listening to my birds outside. I like really being outside a lot as well. And I think that would surprise a lot of young 25-year-olds. They look at me and they probably think, oh, Dr. Dial, you know, she's always out, she's moving around and that kind of thing, which I do. But that other side of me is, I think, what would be shocking. And I'm really proud of that part of me as well. That I'm proud about that I'm safe with just being constant. Not necessarily being anyone's wife, not necessarily being anyone's mother, Nana, because I'm a grandmother as well, but just being constant. And so I like that. And I think that would shock most people.
Yeah, that was good. That's good. You getting into your groove. I feel it.
Uh-huh.
All right, what's a current small luxury that makes you feel rich? What's something you do just to get back in tune with the luxury of life?
Really, actually, I love different scents. I've always have. I love to smell good. I love things that smell good. So when you come into my home, I have nice smelling scents going all the time. Also, I like different types of perfume. And so just smelling with a different fragrance or taking a nice hot bath and then I come out, lotion up and just put on a nice fragrance. It sets me into that making me feel good and feeling in touch.
Is there a particular scent that does it for you?
Oh, I don't want to put nobody out, but I can give you three of my favorites. Three of my favorite perfumes are Baccarat, I think I'm saying it correct, and Christian Dior. And also, I kind of fell in love with a little Gucci. The last fragrance they came out with, and it has a lot of vanilla in it, and I really like it. It's that floral one. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I like all three of those. And I'm wearing Christian Dior today. That is the bomb. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into some more interesting questions. When did you first realize that you've been choosing everyone else but you?
During COVID. When COVID came, I think all of us may have been on a I call it a hamster wheel, and COVID forced everyone to sit. And you had to sit within yourself. You had to sit at home. You were able to be in silence. And it wasn't so much of the, I would say, the rat race going on. And because I am a doer, and also I like things done correctly, so I put a lot of myself into my work, into what I'm doing, and I love what I do, right? So I think sometimes we can be an overachiever, and that can kind of get you out of sync. So when COVID came, it really actually just set me down, and I had to sit down with Constance, and I had to be quiet. And so during that time is when I found myself during COVID.
Now, when you talk about finding yourself, what did that cost you in terms of people outside of you?
Some
Did anybody approach you like, or did you start feeling like you were being selfish in choosing yourself? And like, what really led to this? I know you said being in the house with COVID, but like, what was that experience like, sitting with yourself, and then what was the resolve like? Is there anything I gotta do or change, and what were those changes that you undertook?
really, COVID set me to realize what was important. Okay, because there was so much unknown about COVID, right? And uh, uh, I know that people lost people, and so did we. So what it did for me, I had a girlfriend that had she caught COVID, and we went from it went so quick till it just overwhelmed me. It went from she was talking to she called me and left, and I still have the voicemail on my phone. She called me and left me a voicemail, and the next thing I know, I couldn't talk to her for like another 6 weeks because she was on the ventilator and she couldn't speak, so everything was going through her husband, and it was real touch and go. And during that time, I realized, okay, Constance, life is just like that. So now what are you going to do about it? Which caused me to look within myself and find out what was going to be important to me, what I did not want to do anymore, and whether or not people were going to accept it or not. I just knew that I wanted to move and do different. And during that time, I told my husband, I said, anything that I've ever thought about or dreamt about that I wanted to do, that I'm finna do. And that there, like, it opened up a floodgate of a rebirthing within me. And I started with all the things that I had been writing down and journaling about what I want to do within my meditation time, prayer time. I said, okay, you got to get busy. And if people understand it, it's okay. And if they don't, it's okay. I think um, once you have something that comes in that swift, and I'm talking about a healthy person, and then you see that person go that you just talk to every day on the phone. We had been to Destin that week before. We had hung out that Friday night, had an amazing time. And within 72 hours, it had totally changed. And it was a traumatic time for me, but and when I think about it, still kind of does something. But I thank Father God because she's up and walking around and she's still here. But that led, and I told her that with that led me because she was really close to me. That led me and said, "Okay, Constance, what you gonna do? Are you just going to keep on planning and writing and journaling in your private time? Or are you going to let this stuff come from this paper, off of these books, out of these journals, books, and make it come alive?" And time is not always on everybody's side. So you have to move when it's time to move, and you have to pivot. And change comes with cost. It comes with challenges. It comes with all of that. But you have to know within yourself, you get one life and you got to live that one life. And I chose me.
Now that can sound selfish. What would you say to a woman that wants to choose herself, but she feels obligated to just be a mom, just be a wife, just be a person that serves at church, just be a servant? So to her, hearing choosing you may be startling. How do you go about doing that process, and what was your process like? And are you still in that process of choosing Constance?
I'm still in the process of choosing Constance, but I would say to that mother, uh, I'm a mother, and I when you know that you've done the best that you can do, I don't believe that you can have multifaceted of yourself. I think sometimes we get in that one place and we say, okay, I'm a mother and I'm just going to do just that. But you can be a mother and do other things and have other desires. Now, I do know sometimes when your children are young, okay, you may have to put more time in with your children because they're young, but as they begin to grow and go back to school or in kindergarten, or you place them in early child care facility where you can have some mom time, then I think you need to still be that dreamer. Don't ever stop dreaming and wanting to do different things, because we are called into certain parts of our life to be a mother, to be a wife, to be a student, to be a sister, to be a TT, to be all those things. But we also should stay within our singularity. I was looking for that word earlier in the last month in January. When January came in, I was in my meditation time and I was trying to figure out what word was I missing. And the word that I was missing was singularity. And then when you look up singularity, that just means that you're single in your one self. But that doesn't make you where you don't be in the other groups. Like I have this here, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner, I'm a sister, I'm a colleague. I still have all those things, but right here in the center is me. And if I'm not doing me, I'm not going to do this good. I'm not going to be a great mother, great wife, a great friend, a great colleague, none of that, because I did not deal and stay in my singularity within myself. So that has a lot to do with you accepting what you want to become, and you're still becoming, because I'm still becoming. I don't know what else I want to do, but whatever it is, I'm going to be doing it. Like my grandmama used to say, Gwines, where you going? I'm going to be doing it. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. What are you no longer available for in this season? Like, what's a boundary that you've created that in previous stages of your life you let people cross them, but at 65 it's a no go.
Oh, that's a good one. I will no longer do your work. Now, I will work alongside with you, but I'm not going to do your work. I guess you would call me a finisher. And I was very competitive when I was younger. I ran track and field, and I enjoyed running long distance. I've done a lot of 4K runs, 5Ks. And in that, when you are learning to be a finisher, you got to also let your other teammates do their part in order for you to win the race. I think that mothering that I have too, I want to see everybody finish well, but if they're not running with you, you can't carry. So I'm learning to let people, I'm not going to do their work. I'll work with you, give you insight, and I'm going to pull back. I can't be there every step of the way holding your hand. And then a lot of times you end up doing all the work and they still don't finish, because when you walk away from it, they drop it. And you done exerted all of that energy, your time, your talents, and your resources. And really, they really didn't want to press for it. They wanted you to do the work. So you have to be really careful. So in this season, I'm not doing the work. I'll work with you, but I'm not doing all the work. Mm-mm.
All right, so let's go here. These are going to be some softer questions. Then we're going to land into the deeper ones. Is everything good, Herbert, on your side?
Yes.
Angles, everything's still good.
Everything's good.
All right, all right. All right, so let's keep going. Now we're going to be talking about living out loud and living in your truth. This is where you were talking about like being yourself, accepting all parts of yourself. So it's kind of going to go down that avenue. So I want you to also think about any stories that you can accompany the questions as we're answering those. Okay. So the first three are just kind of just getting us warm, and then the next three will be like what we're hitting hard at it.
Okay.
All right. So, what is a moment that you felt the most like yourself recently? Something small that made you say, "Yep, that's me."
I went to the spa about 3 weeks ago, and I went by myself. And I didn't call anybody, because normally I am really good at administration and I am really good at bringing people together. I have a way about knowing what people chill together with and who vibe together. So I'm always a person setting up the parties, setting up the get-togethers, and doing everything. And I'm crossing all my T's, dotting all my I's. But I decided to go to the spa by myself. And when I went, um, I felt really good just being there by myself. I had my meta glasses on and my music was playing, and I was just in my solitude, and I was just able just to be with me and enjoying me. And I'm learning that I enjoy me a lot, but I also like being with people. Don't get that wrong. I'm not saying that I don't. But that right there was one of those moments that I was like, mm. And then when I went there, I started writing on another book, and I received the book title right there at the spa. Yeah.
Now, what is something you think most people misunderstand about you?
I think for some, now that can be a little tricky. I think for some I may come off if it's not, if they are not safe like within themselves, I may come out as an overachiever. Um and because I love solving problems and I mean I'm a finisher, right? That I tend to just go about it. But at the same time, um, for that particular thing, that might could happen. And then the other where I could be misunderstood would be that I don't have feelings. I'm always strong. Um, I don't never cry, or I don't never get tired, or I don't ever get worn out, and my life is just perfect. Right? They look at it, and looking from the outside in, you would think that I probably don't have any problems or any issues going on, but I do. It's just the way that I carry it. I just carry it different than I always have. I'm not really a person of just telling it all. I have to know I'm in a safe zone to share, because I learned that early on, years and years ago. And in fact, when I was younger and I moved out of the country when I was 16 years old, I began to hang out with older women, and I've always been drawn to older women that were older than myself. For one, I just felt the maturity there, and I wanted to learn. And my mom always told me that I had been here before, and y'all might have heard that down through the years, because I was always more mature than most people thought that I was. um Even driving, and back in the day, I was driving at 13. I could drive a car, I could drive anything, a standard shift, stick shift, whatever you put in front of me, I could drive it, and I wasn't afraid to drive. So I think people could take that strength and see it as a disadvantage if they don't really know me.
You talked about people having misconceptions about you and they think your life is perfect. Do you have any examples of experiencing that? And what do, like, why do you think people look at your life and think it's perfect?
I think it's because I don't find that so much with males as I do with females, and not all the females are that way. I think it has to do with self awareness. And I believe if women don't have that self awareness and know their worth, and I know that's a cliche, everybody talking about know your worth, but that's actually a life giving nugget for you to know your worth. And I know my worth, hands down.
Do you think people get intimidated by that for a woman to know her worth and stand in her power?
Yeah, because they could have experienced, and I want to give love to them. They could have experienced trauma and didn't have a really good upbringing. But even in that, I would encourage any young woman, even a woman of my age, okay, say, take a breathe in and breathe out and say, okay, I'm going to take one day at a time. And this is what I'm going to acclaim to. This is what I'm going to try to make better in my life, where my thought patterns, because we have these different brain things and we can change our brain path to believe and go into whatever we desire. So what I would say to someone, take time to go back into that, recalibrate your brain, and do one thing at a time that you actually love doing or you're really good at. And it would help you to grow into um the person that you're called to be. Even though of the trauma, of the mishap, I've been divorced, I've been cheated on, I've been lied on. That's that go back to the, you know what I'm saying? It has happened to me. But I had to find myself within that and pull myself up by my bootstrap, and knowing, but my faith was really it was my solid rock. My faith was. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Now let's go back in through the years. Tell me about the time you held your tongue, but you should have spoke your truth,
Oh
and
God.
you did so just to keep the peace.
Oh God, I did that a lot. Um, I did that a lot. And I think really within my first marriage, this marriage, I came here with my mouth wide open. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you. And I thank God for my baby daddy, Michael Dow, because ooh, baby, I made up my mind that next go round, I was not going to keep my mouth closed. And it was a lot of things that I took that I shouldn't have taken, and I should have stood up, and my life would have been better off for it. But I didn't. I didn't have my voice, and I just was, whatever he wanted to do, that's what I wanted to do. Whatever he wanted, that's what I wanted. And I didn't know that I knew I wanted to speak up and change, but I didn't want to go into that friction with that relationship. So I took the seat back, and I didn't open my mouth like I should have. But now Micah Dow knows all about it. He knows all about it. My husband knows all about it, and he doesn't have a problem with it. But now I will say this: I really articulate myself really well. I'm not a screamer. I'm not a rah-rah. I don't believe in that, because I do believe that when you're speaking to people, because that's how I want to be spoken to. I think you need to speak to them within good tone, and then you have to know who you're speaking to, and you still can get your message across. Because I think sometimes we can, men and women, we can do the rah rah, and ain't nobody gonna be listening, because you don't know how to articulate, and you hadn't read the room to know, is that going to be appropriate. And so a lot of us think making a big scene gonna help us, but it doesn't. In fact, it destroys us and it hinders us.
At 65, tell me, what does this phrase mean to you? Living out loud and living in your truth.
Living out loud for me means no holds. I'm not holding nothing back. Living out loud for me, you know what I've thought about. I know I'm gonna live a long time, and a lot of people say I'm aging backwards, and I kind of feel that. I've been told, you're like Benjamin Button, girl, you aging backwards. That you wouldn't think that I'm 65. Most people would say 50 or something like that, which is great, but it's because of my attitude. I've always been almost like an optimistic person, and I always believe I can do something better the next day. I don't let worry get me. I really don't. Um, and I'm always looking for the best in people, the best in the situation, and I don't deal with the negative. I really can't. I'm always come. If you come around me, everybody will tell you this. I'm going to support you. I'm going to empower you. I'm going to encourage you. I don't really stay in negative. And if you say, oh, I don't think we'll be able to do that, I say, no, let's look at it this way. We probably can, but we might have to do it a different way, but we can still do it. So um, I think that's the person that I am. I don't know if I answered the question
Yeah.
totally,
And
but
what about living in your truth? What does that mean for you?
my truth is, what you see is what you're going to get. And I'm not holding my voice back. I received a phone call, and I'm gonna share. I received a phone call about a week or so ago, and someone was telling me about, uh, wanting to know what I wanted to do about a particular situation. Now, in times past, if you had caught me, I mean, even like maybe 3 years ago, I probably would have went head on into that thing and said, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But no, you know what I said? I want to know, since it's on your mind, I put it back in their lap. What is it that you want to do about that? Because I have my orders. And this is the lane that I'm going to stay in. And I'm going to stay in my perfect alignment. Tell me what you think that you should be doing about it. Because sometimes people will bring problems to you because you're known for the problem solver. And then you also known for getting it done. And so you have to be careful, because you can get used up with that. I'm the prophet Nehemiah. I'm staying on the wall. I don't care what Sanballat and them down there talking about, what they got going on. I'm staying up on, and I'm building. And I'm also building in my quiet place as well. And I've done that for years. People don't know what I'm doing until it's happening. And that's something I learned years and years ago. And God told me, you need to have the hush mouth grace, and that's what I've had. And when you see it, it's done. Because a lot of times, if you do it before then, the vision has been given to you, and everybody don't have your vision. You cannot share your vision with everybody, because then what you got to deal with is mouth. And I do believe what you say is spoken out into the universe, and it has to come some kind of way. So when you getting into a whole lot of friction, now you got to go in there and pull all that back down, and then they say, so instead of it getting into you, You don't even need to talk about it until you ready for that to be birthed. When a woman is carrying her baby, when you get in 9 months and all that, and then when you go in there to labor, they don't let everybody go in the labor room with you. They're not certified. They don't even have a mask on, the gown they give you at the hospital, and the gloves to even be in there with you. So you can let people in that could contaminate you. And then you end up with a virus, you end up sick, and you end up not doing nothing at all because you let them into a space that they shouldn't have been in the first place.
All right. You talk often about refusing to retire at 65. Can you tell me more about that? Like, where did that come from? Because I believe if you survey most people at 60, 65 and above, if they haven't retired already, they're really heavily talking about it. But you, on the other hand, you said you refuse to retire. Why?
I'm never retired because I think it's always that next chapter in me. And I feel this way truly. I feel whatever you speak. And I think when I looked up the word about retirement, you have to be really careful with that because I've seen down through, and I'm not saying it happens for everybody, but I've seen down through the years, people say they're retiring and they just stop life. And when you stop speaking to your body, you stop talking with your brain, things begin to shut down. And I feel like I just have so much life in me. I want to do this, I want to do that. So retirement is not a part of my vocabulary at all. And my baby daddy be saying, I said, don't say that word. Don't say that word. Because we don't use that word up in here. We all gonna be going into the next chapter. And I think it's always the next one where you stay vital, you stay vibrant, and you moving forward. And then you have so much, like for myself at 65, I have so much to give to a 25-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 65-year-old to share with that person. But what if I say I want to retire? I just go and sit and do what? I mean, how many weeks can I know good walking is good, but okay, I'm walking. But you can walk and not be in retirement. You can travel and not, be in retirement, but I'm just saying, what will you be doing? What is your true call and what you really want to give back? Because I believe at some point you need to be one to give back. And I'm at that point now where I really just want to give back. That's why I love children so much. Kids have such imagination, and that's why I keep me young, keep me going, because I'm in early childhood education and I'm around those kids and they be sitting over there, with a bowl. Miss Dial, I'm cooking. And there's nothing really in the bowl, but they're imagining, and their imagination is going, and then they sit there and fix you something. There's nothing on the plate, but we are pretending. And I just love that about kids. And so I get into pretending and I'm like, oh, I want to do this too. And they always thinking. Their imaginations are always going. Their minds.
Next to a someone your same age, maybe grew up in the same time as you, same experiences, what would you say separated you? Because you're a different type of 65-year-old. So what makes you different? What do you think were contributing factors that made you different?
I will tell you. Um, I think for me, it was exposure. And from a young child, I would always go to the library. And I don't even know if y'all remember the National Geographics books. And I looked about travel. I think travel is the best education you could give a child or anyone. And I think by me leaving the United States of America at 16 to go live abroad in a whole nother country, I was open up and I was exposed to so much to other parts of life and other histories and history. And I love history, by the way. And so I was going to this castle, that castle, and I was just traveling all over Germany and Paris and London. I was doing all that. And I think it's travel and exposure. And now you got YouTube, so you could really travel anywhere you want to go on YouTube and just look at different things and get that exposure. But I think that exposure enlightened me and I learned other nationalities. And being on the military base, we had all nationalities, and we had different things that Hispanics did, Latinos, and we were all there doing it together. But travel and exposure.
All right, this is going to be a two-part question, and this will be the final one. What would you say to 20-year-old Constance? And then what would you say to 40-year-old Constance?
20-year-old Constance is going to be all right. And you're going to end up pretty good, girl. Just keep going on what you're going on. But I didn't know that then. And then by the time I turned 40, I was in it. And I knew who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. So, I started my business at 40. And I stepped out at 40. I left out to take care of my mother, who was in dementia and going on into full Alzheimer's. And they had the American Family Leave Act. And I took it. And I said, it's so amazing how things work for you. I thought I was really doing it to be with my mom and to carry that on and take care of her and all of that, because I needed that time away. It was just a whole lot. But during that time that I was away from my job, there it go again. I was able to sit in my quiet, and then these things began to come to me. And then I said, and I never went back, y'all. I went out on leave and I never went back. And I'm going into 25 years this year with the center. And I've done other things as well now, opening up another company, Grace and Max Wayne Realty. We're doing realty, owning real estate property, and doing all of those things. And now I'm a global invested outside of the United States. Yeah.
Now, what's next for Constance?
Um, you're gonna be seeing her on these social media streets, and all up in these YouTubes and any other tube I can get on. That's what you gonna be seeing. That's what you gonna be seeing and traveling. And I really want to live out of the country. I really don't want to live in the U.S. I'm on a regular, you know. But that's what I'm looking into, and I've come up with three, well, actually two, and that's Costa Rica and Panama, which is closest to the U.S. and where I could. They have some great communities there too of expats and people of color, especially in Panama. I've been asked and said by some young people, love don't exist no more. And I said, baby, why you say that? It's different out here in these streets now. But I still believe that it's possible. Now, will it come in different ways? That I do believe. Because what I once believed was that, like, if you want to be married and all that, you all got to live together in the same house. I don't believe that anymore. I don't. I believe that you can have a wonderful relationship, and what works for you and your mate, you all need to find that what works. And you don't have to go by what society says, because society don't know what it's talking about ahead of time, no way. But when I seen Cheryl Lee, what's her name? Sharon Lee Ralph and her husband, they never lived in the same state. Have an amazing marriage. And that worked. She didn't want to leave LA. He didn't want to leave where he was. Amazing marriage. But it don't work for everybody, but it will work for a lot of people. So my mind began to shift on what I believe, what is, and what could be. I don't know. Now this may get somebody feelings. I don't know. I believe you don't necessarily have to have a piece of paper to say you are who you are with whom you in love with. One time ago, I'd have told, girl, you better get married. Girl, you got to get married. You got to get married. You got to have that picket fence and them 2 children. I don't believe that anymore. I don't even believe that if you decide you don't want to have kids, you get with your partner or whoever, and y'all say y'all don't want kids. That can be from the man as well as the woman. He might say, I don't really want kids, and she don't. That don't mean that you are not going to be a family. That don't mean you're not going to make it work together. It doesn't mean any of that. I just feel like you need to be in touch with yourself and what you really want and what your partner really wants, and you roll with it. And I think you can acquire and live happy and go places and do different things. And it doesn't have to be that natural, traditional kind of thing that may not even work. And then when you get to be a certain age, I'm going to be honest, when you're in your 40s or late 40s and 50s, you've already acquired a lot of things probably and your peace and whatever. So whomever, whether it's a female or male, come into your life, you probably will not more than not live together, but are great together. And you say, okay, we're going to be exclusive with one another. And you don't have to have a piece of paper to be married and to say you happy. Yeah. I don't know how many, the church folks might say, oh, Lord, she telling folks to live in sin. No, I ain't telling people to live in sin. But I do know this too. You could be married. Infidelity, all kinds of crazy. So what does that mean? So choose what you want to make you happy. And you're not harming no one else. You're not hurting no one else. I think you should choose what your life should be and how you want to live it and to whom you want to live it with.
It's spicy, your thoughts are very progressive. So let's start here. What was a major pivot that happened to you within the last 2 years that just changed things drastically?
I had to have knee surgery, a whole knee replacement surgery. I was bone on bone, and you talking about some pain. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But during that time, I had to sit down in here for 3 months and going back and forth to therapy. And that therapy was no joke. And I had to have the wherewithal to endure the pain with tears rolling out my eyes because, I was telling them to bend my knee, to press it, to do whatever's necessary. And in fact, I told the two physical therapy ladies that were working on me, I said, look, I want my switch back. And they said, what? I said, honey, I want my switch back. I said, girl, I don't know if you know what that is. I said, but back in the day, my mama said, girl, you switching all around the place. I wanted to be walking correctly. I didn't want no knee bent. I didn't want walking all crooked over. I said, that ain't my portion. So with that went in with that achiever and the finisher, right? So I was like, don't care how much pain it is. I'm not gonna have my knee all messed up. And I done went through that pain and I'm not gonna make it work. But during that time when I was sitting, I was like, I'm going in a different direction. I began to read a little bit more. I wanted to find out about emotional mentality and how we are carrying so much mentally and within our society of African American and people of color. We don't believe that people can have nervous breakdowns and they become depressed and suicidal and all of that. And when I had to sit down with myself, I realized I wanted to change, and I did. And I changed even with my husband and all that. My views totally changed. I went back in within myself and I said, okay. And God said, you better pay attention to what this is and what that is and how do you want to move forward. And I made the shift. And I don't know if everybody kind of got with it. But 2 years later, I'm glad about it because it has shown me a lot of things. I have grown. I finished a book since then. Wrote another book, waiting for it to come on with Dr. D's quote, writing another book right now. So each change has brought about something in my life that I always wanted to achieve. And I've always been a writer. When you do a lot of journaling, I didn't see it that way at first, but it was actually the beginning of me being a writer and putting my word to paper. Yeah.
Change your marriage.
Oh, for the better. I think it made baby daddy feel real good or whatnot. But he's been always been my biggest cheerleader, and Michael never held me down. Like um calling or where you at or what you got going on, or I would be out the country 10, 12 days, in another state, 6, 5 days or whatever. It wasn't a problem with him. In fact, usually when I came back home, he done worked himself to death up in here. He had painted the whole living room one time I came. I said, he was like, I had them days on me, so he made himself busy. But I realized that he wanted a little bit more time with me, and I recognized it. And so I've done dove back into it. So I had started cooking, but I got to get back with that. I done fell off that too. I was starting to cook because he loves for me to cook, and I'm a great cook, but I just don't like cooking. But I started trying to go back into cooking for him, and we've always had our date night, but now we're just conversating and talking to one another, and also being separate in our singularity as well. So it's been better for us. Yeah.
Now, tell me about like how do you maintain a strong marriage? To be with someone for a long time, you ride out a lot of different waves. So, like, what do you believe it takes to maintain a strong marriage? And how do when you hit those lows, how do you bounce back?
Okay. I think for the first part, how do you work on a marriage and keep it going is the first question, right? Um, Honesty, outright honesty. And I'm going to tell who all may be listening, come in and listen to this. You have to be true to thyself. You got to be. And honesty is the best thing. And see, I'm that type of person. I love, don't tell me no lie, just give it to me. I'm one of them. And I think when people, males or female, can feel that they can come to you and give true honesty, and you're not going to throw it back up in their face on a regular, you have crossed and solved half of the problems that you will have in your relationship. When you got to wear 5 and 6 faces, baby, that ain't going to work. You got a mask for this, you got a mask for that, you got to. So who are you? You know? I think honesty in the relationship has to be first off and first. And you got to be willing to hear the truth. And sometimes your partner don't want to hear the truth, you know? And there's no growth without truth and honesty. Do I wake up every day? And did I wake up every day feeling in love and butterflies and guans on? No, I did not. And Michael didn't either. But what we also determined was, nobody gonna leave 7451. It's 4 or 5 bedrooms up in here, honey. Find you one. Go ahead and find you one, because ain't nobody leaving. And I think you both have to have that. Whether you got a piece of paper or not, you both got to have that. The stay in power. The stay in power. That part. Mm-hmm.
And what are your new concepts on marriage and relationships? You were talking about that earlier, like certain things you don't believe anymore that you used to believe. Like what are some of those things that made somebody else maybe like, ooh, I can't believe she said that.
What I believe and don't believe anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't believe you got to be married to be happy. I don't believe you got to stay in the same house to be happy. I don't believe you got to stay in the same state. to be happy. What I do believe, you have to have honesty with the both. You decide that you're going to be in your singularity with each other, and it's not going to be 4 or 5. Now, I ain't saying all that, and I ain't telling you about you're going to be playboy or playgirl and all of that. I'm saying you're going to be committed to that one relationship with him or her, and you want to stay in that relationship with that. And
what about, you said earlier too about, like, sometimes there's a lot of pressure on women to get married, also to have a child. You said you think differently now than you did previously. What caused that shift, and why do you feel the way you feel now?
because I don't believe that will make me be more of a woman because I birthed children. I don't believe that. I'm a birther whether I birthed children or not, because you're creating. You understand, all the time. So you're always in continual birth. I don't think that a woman has to be defined as a woman just because she can give birth to a human. I believe that you are a woman because you are a woman, or you a man because you are a man. And what you choose to do and how you choose to become, I just don't think you that defines you as getting married, having children, gonna make you be the greatest. Because sometimes I don't think everybody should be with children. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think I have a granddaughter. I don't think she wants any. And you know what I told her? That's good. And that don't define you by you not wanting to. But years ago, I was like, girl, you don't want no chair. Girl, you don't, and we have this thing with society that we listen to so much of that we get into that, and we're not letting people be who they want to be in what they want to be. I didn't really want children. I did not. That was not my mission in life, to have children. Now, I had to, but that was not my mission. And I did that because that's what someone else wanted. And then I went ahead and went along with it. But I'm so glad I found out that wasn't going to be my whole life. Was I a good mother? I was. But that was not what I aspired to be, was a mother. And I didn't think back then that would make me say I'm more of a woman because I've had 2 children. Or I had 1 child or whatever. Yeah.
I think that's practical. To people that say love doesn't exist anymore, what would you say to them?
It does. And I smile when I say it because I believe in love. And love is different, because now that word love is just used. Oh, I love your shoes. Oh, I love your hair. Oh, I love your nails. It's just used just so, just throw it out there with everything, right? So everything kind of ends in love. Oh, I just love that. I just love you. I love this. I think love is, in that sense, I think love can be misused, and it can be deemed over. It is overrated, because what you're going to have is passion, patience, understanding, wisdom, and all of that wrapped up into one. And love is real love is not a feeling. Real love is a knowing. Because feelings come every day and go. Well, child, I love you today. I'll love you tomorrow. Right? That's what I think about that. And I look at my baby daddy, and it's different. It's a commitment too. I am committed to this relationship, which happens to be a marriage.
Do you think people say love doesn't exist anymore because they just don't want to be committed?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hands down. It's that commitment level. And then I think nowadays people are so easy to give up. But what happens is you keep seeing the same thing over and over and over. You got to get somewhere and get rooted and get planted. You can't go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. You have to get somewhere and get planted for you to grow. You just can't be uprooting. You can't do a plant like that and think it's going to live. You just uprooting the plant from this pot to that pot to this pot to that pot. You just all over the place. It don't never get chance to get roots and get studied to grow. And anything that you're going to work for, it's going to be, listen, anything that you want in life and if you're not willing to work for it, it ain't going to happen. And there are going to come up trials and tribulations and misunderstandings and whatnot. That's going to happen. And you have to have some mechanism in place, something in place where y'all put a pin in it and y'all come back and revisit it. You might need therapy. Look, I got a therapy session today. Me and my baby daddy. You might need a therapist to kind of help you run some things through. And don't be afraid to go outside of that and seek out for help. Because sometimes you do need a mediator between the two of you. To kind of piece things together or even give you a better view on what you need to do next. But I think commitment is not, nobody don't want to be committed.
That was a really great analogy about the pots. You talked earlier about having some downtime, and it allowed you to sit with yourself, and from there you created things. I consider those kind of like nudges. So, what nudges have you received lately about the future?
Ooh. Okay. Now, truth and honesty here. I just came out of something. The other day. I was like, and what I found, I had to, because there's so much going on, y'all. It's a lot going on, and if you are not one to have certain outlets and certain people around, I think you have to really check your circle too, to make sure that you all are empowering one another, because it's enough stress and people are worried about where the next check, what's going on and all of that. I had to just myself the other day talk myself and say, hey, you you're gonna come up out of this and things are going to get better. Because I was thinking gloom and doom. And then I realized I cannot stay in that news on a regular. Like hearing all of this and all of that. I have to go in and come out and then settle myself and get back within my own self so that I can be able to be more productive. That's why I'm saying being with yourself a lot of times. That way you can push out what don't need to be in, reset and realign and then go back again. That's what my feelings are on that. It's a lot going on, and you got to be careful what you're hearing and what you let go, and everything you shouldn't be hearing, and you shouldn't take to your heart with that, because it will have you all over the place, literally. And I was feeling myself feeling kind of a little, but I was able to catch it in time because I was wondering what's going on. Yeah, but I had to pull back. Mm-hmm.
At 65, someone on the outside may look at you and say, at this age, or when I reach this age, I'll have everything figured out. Did you have that concept? Like, when I reach a certain age, I'll have life figured out? And if that was your thought, has it changed now being at a certain age?
I would say for people that's younger, you start with it now on what you want to be at a certain age. I didn't I really didn't have that. I didn't know what I know now in reference to getting there, but I had the uh, tenacity to want to push forward. I think for younger people now, I think you all are so blessed. I think y'all have so many opportunities. I think, we got the web, we got the internet, we got AI, we got everybody. So I think now for a younger person, you can say where you want to be when you get to 65. And you can start working on it now because you can see from others and pull from my page, somebody's page, and you see it happening. So you know it's possible for you. So you can start to dream and put those things in place now. If you want to be in a different financial place, you can start with that now because all the information is there before you. And you're here looking at me today or some other people, and you're saying, how did you get there? Now you can see it in action. I'm the living proof that you can see that the proof is in the pudding. So you can see that you can become these things. You can change your life. You can change your financial wherewithal. You could change how you look. Because I ain't gonna never be fat no more. That part there's gone. Never will I be fat. I have a problem about being. That's a whole nother story for the whole nother day. But I'm just saying you have so many advantages. And I'm so excited for younger people. I'm like, do y'all see what's going on? I've always wanted to travel. I've been to Africa and I've always been an expat, but I had to be a secret inward expat because there wasn't nobody feeling it or sensing it. And if you could start talking about, girl, what you talking about? They gonna kill you over there. Girl, what you talking about living in Africa for? What you talking about living in all these different places? You all have all of that right now. And I'm living proof. You can be an investor outside of the country. You don't just have to have a house in the US of A. Now, see, that was the brainwashing that I told my husband we all got. Okay? I'm talking with my ebonics now. We all got that. I'm a 60 babies, born in the 60s. And I was taught you go get a job, you work that job 40, 50 years, you get the two children, you get the picket fence, and you get, let me tell you another thing, you get one car that you ride good in, and the other car, it's kind of beat up. You don't have but two cars. You got one that you drive on Sunday, and then you got the other one. But now you all see you can do all of that. You have all of that and you can see it. Because I had to say, who told me I don't need but one car? I just figured that out. Because I was told that. Who told me I was just supposed to have one house in the United States of America? And I started out renting like back in 2008 or 2009, I started getting into real estate. But I'm just saying. But I didn't have like a blueprint. I am the blueprint. The ceilings I've broken, I'm the first in my family and the first for my children and grandchildren. And so now you all are seeing it. Y'all can just click a button and go and say, oh, look at this, look at that. I mean, it's just right at you. So I would say to a younger person, if you're in your 40s, your 30s, you need to hit the ground running. And you need to set some things in place. And I'm not saying you can't have fun and all that, but you want to start building for your future, and you want to start setting certain moving parts around you that's going to take you to those places. And go do it. Hello, dollars. I'm so glad that you were able to join me today and to have just sit down, honest, open talk with me. And I hope that it was empowering and encouraging to you. And I hope to see you soon. Continue to follow me, hit that button, subscribe, share, like, and come back again because I'm going to have some great nuggets for you then. Okay? Blessings.